What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about something super exciting that I just dropped. It is a font. I made a font, which is kind of crazy because I've been like an appreciator of fonts and typography for so long, but I've never actually like took the time and like learned everything that goes behind making an actual font. And I actually didn't realize a lot of what goes on. So it was definitely like a very eye-opening experience. And so this video is just gonna talk to you about what I learned along the way and the process of how this font came together. So the name of the font is Penny. It's like a retro swash kind of like 70s vibe of a font. And I'm just gonna take you kind of back to the beginning, which is I was on my favorite site, Fonts in Use. If you don't know about this, it's really crazy. Let's just open their home screen for a second. Pretty much people will just submit usages of fonts, whether it be some like new, album cover or something, or an old ad. It's really all over the place because it's user uploaded, and it will tag the font that was used in it. And it's such a good resource for just like finding new font inspiration, finding new fonts that you didn't know about, and then like they always link to the original font, and if it's available for download, then they'll link to like the site and everything. But some of the fonts, like actually this one that I opened up here, don't have like a digital version. So I stumbled onto this font used by like Star Wars, Al Green, Black Sabbath, and I was like, this is so cool, like really crazy. I need to have it. And then I read this part down here, no known digitization, meaning no one ever turned it into like a digital font. Probably whatever foundry created it is now defunct, doesn't really exist anymore. So it's kind of been like lost to time. So this was like way back, like a couple years ago, and I like kind of always in the back of my head was like, I want to make this font, and I finally got around to doing it. So that's how Penny came to be. That was like where the idea came from. And so yeah, the process was, first, there's no like full set of like all the characters. This is the only thing I could find was like this old kind of catalog, I think, of like they used to just like put fonts in a catalog like this. But I can't remember exactly where I found it, but there is a version of the entire font like in a book that someone released, I think like in the 90s or something. So I went on Amazon and I found the book, bought the book, and boom, they had every single character, all the swashes and everything, put it in my scanner, naturally. And then from here I had at least like kind of like a basis now of what I was gonna have the font look like. So I don't really know anything. I didn't know about like, font software or anything. So I just assumed like, oh, a vector, I'm just gonna do it in Illustrator, which is what I did. So this is kind of like the messy, it's actually been cleaned up a bit, but this was kind of my working project for where I would like be tracing every letter pretty much. I would take the scan that I had and I would just go in and trace everything. You can't really do image trace because it's gonna give you like weird curves and stuff that aren't gonna work in an actual font if you want it to look professional. So I had to go in and like trace everything. And yeah, pretty much that was the process. I would just keep going through, reusing shapes so that it looked consistent. Let's see, we can actually like click in on a few of these and just show you where the points are. Yeah, very painstaking process, especially because this is like a really not like geometric font. It's not like, it doesn't have right angles, everything's curved. It's very like natural and flowing and smooth. Like the bottom is kind of like more weighted than the top. So definitely like a big challenge, especially for the first time tracing a font like this. And so I had all of these traced and I was like, okay, how do you actually turn it into a font now? Turns out there's like a whole font software world that I didn't know about. I did a bit of research, and the software that I found that was kind of like the industry standard. There's one other, I can't remember the name, but this one is called Glyphs, and I just got, because I was getting started, Glyphs Mini, which is the the like pared down version. I think you can do most of the same stuff. You can't do like different weights or something in this one. But as I like downloaded the software, I was like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I reached out to a really, really talented type designer. His Instagram is wayne.pdf if you want to go check out his work. But kind of to help me out with the technical side of things. So what I did is I showed him all the references. I gave him this Illustrator file, and he went in on glyphs and pretty much converted them to the glyphs format, which is like a little different than, it's actually honestly, I want to say better than Illustrator for just drawing certain things. I know people even say like they design logos and everything in glyphs, which is crazy, but understandable because it's like really, really powerful. It's a little bit more intuitive than Illustrator. I don't know, just stuff about like the Bezier tool and some other tools that they have are just like really powerful and specifically like made for typography. So yeah, pretty much he turned my Illustrator tracing into the glyph font file. There's all sorts of other things, like other considerations, like programming in the swashes and how that'll look. The way my font does it is with open type, like alternates. But yeah, so he sent me the file back. And what I did was, I was like, okay, I have this now. Let's start typing stuff, because that's kind of how it works. You can test stuff live. So I'm just gonna type out my name. And then, you know, you notice like, oh, this doesn't look quite right, or like the balance is off. So I went through and I refined like every single character I touched again to get it exactly how I want it. Making these like corners and stuff exactly, you know, true to the original, and also work in like a digital context. So yeah, literally having to do that for every single letter in the font. Alternates, since that trace only, or like this only had a limited amount of characters, there's definitely like, there's this thing called like Monotype, which is like one of the biggest like font creators, or foundries rather, has like a minimum glyph count. Like they'll do, like for example, the German like umlaut, the two dots, an at symbol, parentheses, brackets, bullets, that kind of thing. So that all needed to be designed. So I just designed it from scratch, but based on like the look of like what the font looks like. So it all looks like it could work together. Hours and hours and hours of work between me and Wayne. And then, yeah, then you have a font pretty much. You export it, and it's like, I exported so many different versions of it because then I wanted to go through and test it, because that was super important to me, because I was like, if I'm putting out like the first font, I want it to be really good. So yeah, pretty much just testing it, making designs with it, seeing where it could improve. You notice a lot of stuff about like kerning pairs and stuff. And what that means, like, I don't know, for example, with the swash, sometimes you don't want the right bounding box of the font to be where it ends. Like if this R, for example, you actually want it to be closer so that letters can fit in, rather than, you know, it would be like that if it was normally. So that is a consideration for every single like pair of letters too. You have to work that out, and that's just all in the software. I can't really go too complex into the software because one, it was like my first time learning it too. So they have really good like tutorials online and everything. So that's kind of what I was leaning on for the most part. But yeah, so that's the font. It's called Penny. I can walk you through how to use it quickly too. The way you're going to get the alternates is by highlighting, and it'll show you the alternate. So really easy to use. It just has so much personality. I really, really love it. So yeah, the font's called Penny, and it's on my site now if you want to go check it out. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'm going to be doing more YouTube videos, so also any ideas for new videos, definitely let me know. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.